Hello fellow crafty souls, welcome to another card making video. Thank you for joining me today. Today's card is a birthday card and I'll be using some supplies from Spellbinders. This is the 4 Petal Bloom reflection dies. Look at those beautiful dies, many layers to this one. And then I will also be using the Spellbinders Essential 4 Petal Labels die, and that will be the frame to put everything onto. I'll also be using the Scroll Punch and Pierce Plate die from Spellbinders. And then from Pink Fresh Studios, the Fancy Script Words hot foil plates and coordinating dies. And that's going to be my sentiment today. So I'm going to be hot foiling my sentiment, and I'll be using the Go Press and Foil silver foil with the iridescent finish, which is beautiful silver, as you can see there. So off screen I went ahead and did all the die cutting. So for every die I cut out 2 sets because the plan will be to do, like on the inspiration on the card, to do the reflection. So I've just got a Universal Crafts sticky surface mat, and I'm going to be sticking all my dies using my Studio Cartier embellishment wand, sticking them all onto the sticky mat so I can add detail using some inks and some fine detail brushes. So this sticky mat just makes it really easy. Stick everything on there. I unfortunately don't own any like name brand specific sticky mats, but this one definitely does the trick, holds everything in place and makes it a lot easier. So I'm starting off using my Catherine Pooler mini inks in Pixie Dust for the purple. I'm going to be using the Catherine Pooler Limoncello, Distress Ink Carved Pumpkin, and then for the green I'm going to use the Distress Ink in Lucky Clover. So just getting everything organised. You can probably hear my fan whirring away in the background here. One of the joys of crafting in far north Queensland is needing that fan on full blast. So here I'm just grabbing out my fine detailed brushes, in one for each colour, and then I'm going to go through and start off with the Pixie Dust and add some interest to my die cuts. So just cleaning it off on a bit of paper towel and going through. So apologies for the wild woolly hair in the corner there. But yeah, so these detailed brushes help to add this bit of interest to each one of the die cuts. It just gives a little bit extra dimension to the individual die cuts. I really enjoyed doing this card today. It was definitely a labour of love. Took about, probably with all the die cutting and everything, I don't know, a good hour and a half, almost 2 hours to do. So the limoncello wasn't dark enough, so I went to the glitz in the Catherine Pooler inks. So yeah, this is a birthday card for a special family member. So yeah, this was definitely all the love poured into this as I was making it, and it was a very meditative process as well. Really enjoyed this one today. I have my days where I like to do small die cutting and individual details, and other days where it just really doesn't interest me. So I picked my days, and today was a good day to do the individual die cutting. So with the Lucky Clover, I was just wanting to give some detail to all the leaves and greenery on this large die, because the individual flower pieces will actually be glued on top of the green as well. So once this die is actually all finished and glued together, it's a beautiful multi-dimensional die, and you'll see it once it's all complete, just how much dimension there is to each piece. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing this one. So for me, this has also been, I popped some music on and I was listening to just some anti-anxiety music. I'm currently on long service leave, so enjoying that, and just needing a bit of a holiday and a bit of a break. So took this opportunity to listen to some music and relax and meditate putting this together basically. So here I am just gathering the bits and pieces, and I'm going to start gluing all of the individual little bits in layers and just using my pickup tool to help place them. And I love my little fine metal tip bottle that allows me to glue in small details. So the glue, I'm not too worried if it does squish out any of the sides anywhere, because it will dry clear. So as you can see, building up those layers, and it's really coming together nicely. So moving on to those smaller flowers. So yeah, the long service leave is definitely long overdue. Both hubby and I are taking a month off together, which will be nice. Hopefully if we don't drive each other crazy by the end of it. But if not, there will definitely be more a lot more videos coming out in this month while I'm off. So my goal is to do a bit more crafting, and we've also got a little trip away planned. So just here with the orange flowers, the carved pumpkin wasn't quite contrasty enough for my liking, so I grabbed the Catherine Paula inks in Flame and coloured those flowers in just that little bit darker. So here I've just got the small little centres of the flowers, just using the pickup tool to stick those down. And the process does go very quickly. They're little, I cut those out of some light blue foil. All the cardstocks I've used today are various cardstocks with no specific brand and no specific colours. Yes. So this is definitely a die I will bring out to make other cards for special people. Excuse me. However, this is definitely not a mass production card equipment, unless I'm using, say, 1/2 of the die. It's still doing die cuts for 2, but doing 1/2. And here, as you can see, I'm just gluing down the little bases of the flowers. So sliding those into place. Can't really see it. They're right on the right hand edge of my sticky mat. And the sticky mat definitely did help, just to keep help me keep track of everything basically, because out of frame you cannot see the giant mess that's going on. So just sticking those down. And there's some little yellow arches up just in the top right hand of the screen. I was forever thinking they were like flower eyebrows, just where they were going to sit above the flowers. And it's not really noticeable in the video, however they do contrast against the lighter yellow. So that's the intricate dies all stuck together. So I just peeled this off carefully just to make sure I didn't tear anything. I would have been very upset if that had have happened. Okay, so thinking about now the frames and just trying to, I go through and I open all of my packets through the top, so I'm not destroying the sticky down the bottom. Finding the right size frame and then pulling out the pierce plate frame. So here's some of the Simon Says Stamp holographic cardstock, and what I learnt from cutting this last time was to run this through a number of times. I did try it with a shim, however that didn't work, so I ended up having to run this run it through my die cut machine about 6 times. Because it is a thicker cardstock, just trying to get it cut through. I did also have my metal shim placed in my die cut sandwich. However, when I had a look, it didn't quite cut all the way through. So I was contemplating, am I going to leave all the little pieces in or try and take them out? The decision was made to leave it all in. So there's just picking a background for those flowers to sit on and cutting it with the frame. Thought I'd get all my die cutting done while I had the machine out. So I'm happy with that. And now I'm going to go through and stick those floral clusters, if you want to call them, onto the background, and that sits beautifully on. So I suppose with 2023 being the year of the stretch, this project was a stretch in terms of really thinking about my colour palette, and my favourite colour is purple. So that wasn't much of a stretch, but it was finding some good complementary colours that actually went along with the purple, hence why I used the yellow and orange. So this is the silver holographic cardstock background, and it didn't quite cut all the way through, so I'm just having to use my craft knife just to cut through some of the places where the die didn't fully cut through. So that didn't take very long, thankfully. And that leaves me then with that middle section left over, so I can use that for another project. So gluing that purple panel on, and that's actually larger than the hole in the middle, so that will sit over and no one will know that there's actually a hole there. And so I'm using some Nina Classic Crest Solar White cardstock, 110 pound, and I thought I'll grab out a couple of sheets while I'm here and cut up some card bases. So I cut the cardstock at 5.5, and it was 5.5 by 8.25, and then I'm going to use my score buddy and score that at 4.25. I like to use a stylus. That's just my personal preference. And I thought while I'm making one, I may as well make 4, just because, you know, sometimes I like to do little extra bits and pieces. So going through and folding those all down and just reinforcing with a bone folder. And because I've learnt the hard way, making sure that my glass mat is clean, and going through, and I may as well stamp. So I'm using my social stamp on the backs of all the cards, and I'll stamp the handmade by and sign them all off, and that will be 4 card bases ready to use as I'm crafting. Some days I'm organised, other days I'm flying by the seat of my pants and I have no idea what I'm doing. So going through, and I will just hand sign all of these now. That's just my little personal touch that I like to pop on the back of my cards. Okay. If I was famous, I would take forever to sign autographs. So just taking one card front aside, and that cover plate will actually fill the whole front of the card. So that looks absolutely beautiful. It almost looks a bit like a photo frame. So now just organising the hot foil plate and coordinating die, piece of smooth cardstock, and I've got my Go Press and Foil machine. So going to, I've got that on and the red light's flashing, and just waiting for that to heat up. So I'll get my foil organised, and I'm just going to cut a piece off which will be just big enough. As you can see, it's flapping around. That's the fan going at full speed in the far north Queensland temperatures. It was a sticky day today. So I've got my hot foil plate down. I've got pretty side of the foil kissing the pretty side of the foil plate with my... keeps getting blown away. It's like, quick, put it down. And the cardstock on. So now the green light is on, and going to run that through my die cut machine a couple of times just to make sure that it all presses down. I actually don't have too many problems with my foil sentiments. So here we go, the big unveiling. This is about when my son decided he wished to come in and join me. Here's his hand, my marvellous assistant, and he wanted to do the unveiling. Thank you, Miles, for the unveiling. He was really happy with that. So happy with that, and he peaced out after he unveiled. Just using my Spellbinders magnetic pickup tool to take my foil, hot foil plate off while it's still warm, and just going to cut that sentiment out now with the matching die. So that looks beautiful. It's all in silver, so that will match the background of the card. And just trying to figure out a bit of placement, and then I decided I wanted more layers to that sentiment. So I cut out the happy birthday back die again another 3 times and glued it all together. And once I've got that all stuck together, I'll add the silver sentiment. So that's nice, and it's got some great dimension coming off the front of the card. Now I can add that foiled sentiment on the front, and just getting it all lined up. Looks beautiful. Looking at the placement, and I don't like the stark white card. So I decided to actually use Sweet 16, or the new name now is 16 Candles by Catherine Pooler. And the beauty with the hot foil is that it will actually resist the ink. So it was a bit of a happy accident. The ink almost matched my hair colour. Actually, it's just about due for another colour, I think. I'm still deciding what I'm going to do. And I decided with that sentiment to actually do it ombre style. So having a look and just giving that any surface ink a wipe off the foil. And I'm just going to use just my usual glue to stick that down. Give it a good press, and I'll chuck something heavy on top, an acrylic block, and happy days. So while I've got my card, I decided I wanted to put something on the inside. So these are some flowers and leaves that I'd cut out previously from other Spellbinders dies. I think there's a mix of the Bee Bold Blooms and possibly another 1 or 2. So here all I'm using is just leftover ink off my detail brushes and a bit of a thinking process. And I found an orange and purple flower, and again this is just using leftover ink off the detail brushes. So again, I changed my mind, happy with that placement, so I'll go ahead and stick everything down. I'm very careful putting the glue on the inside, just because I don't want to stick the inside of the card down. And there we go, I've now stuck that flower in. I'm happy with the inside of the card, and now I'm just going to stick that card to the front of the card. Makes sense, yes. And then I'm going to use my Sakura Jelly Roll number 10 just to add some white details throughout the flowers. And yeah, just the fine details throughout the flowers. And then I'm using my Nuvo Aqua Shimmer pen, and I'm going to add glitter gloss to all of the flowers. So that yellow cardstock there is just there for me to try and get the pen working on it. I tend to be an all or nothing kind of aqua shimmer person. I'll give it a good shake and end up getting all of it out. Oh, my favourite crafty companion, one of my dogs, Parker, has just decided he wanted to join me and come and say hello. My marvellous helper came back in and wanted to peace out on some of my videos. No, you can't hop under the desk just yet, buddy. Not yet. Let me finish the voiceover. So still just colouring all those flowers in. And that's pretty much the card done. So I opened up the card just to show the inside. And then I realised, oh, I need some sparkles and glitter on the inside of the card. Oh, you want to say hello, do you, bro? So just adding some more of that aqua shimmer pen to the flower on the inside, and that is the card finished for today. So I am really thankful that you took the time out to join me. I really appreciate you watching. If you happy with the videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much again.